Hello scholars, this video is intended to review the elements of poetry with you. So first we have imagery, types of figurative language, my apologies, types of figurative language, so we can use imagery. When an author uses vivid images to help paint a picture in your mind. Alliteration, the repetition of the same sound at the starts of words or phrases that are close together, such as Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. So that same p sound at the beginning is another example of alliteration. This is just a definition of figurative language. Figurative language is language that means something other than its literal meaning and expresses ideas in vivid ways. The camera loves her is an example of figurative language. Metaphor. Metaphor is a figure of speech that compares two different things without the words like or as. The snow is a white blanket is a metaphor. My best friend is an angel. My friend can jump like a gazelle is an example of a simile and is an example of a metaphor. So again, metaphor does not use like or as, but a simile does. Comparison of two different things without using the words like or as for metaphor. Onomatopoeia. Words or the use of words with sounds that imitate the meaning of what they are describing. Boom or splash are examples of onomatopoeias. Allusion. An indirect reference to something meant to call it to mind without mentioning it by name. I can say that the speaker alludes to Tupac in The Rose That Grew from Concrete. A sonnet. The repetition of the same vowel sound inside of words that are close together. Patience. Always pays. So it repeats the vowel sound in nearby words. Irony. The use of language to mean something different or opposite from the literal meanings, often used to create humor. Great view, Jimmy said with irony, because the window looked directly out onto a crumbling concrete wall. And the image says great, and we know that she dropped her food in her lap. Well, split her drink in her lap. Juxtaposition, the placement of things beside each other to compare them or to create an effect. Personification, the practice of giving human traits to non-humans in writing. The fire dance is an example of personification. We know the speaker in The Rose That Grew from Concrete used lots of personification because we know that the rose is a non-human, and we know that the speaker does give it human traits or characteristics. Hyperbole, remember that word is hyperbole. It's an exaggeration or overstatement, not meant to be taken literally. He was stronger than an ox is an example of an hyperbole, or I have a ton of homework is also an example of a hyperbole. Synonyms are exaggeration or overstatement. Antonym is an understatement. Rhyme scheme. Rhyme is an easy one to identify, and it is a part of figurative language. If the lines rhyme at the end of each line, that means that you have rhyme in your poem. Side, all, there, fall, there's no rhyme in this poem. But if the words like tide or ride, then there is rhyme in your poem. Simile. The definition is a figure of speech that compares two things using like or as. She entered the room as quietly as a mouse is an example of a simile. And this has been a review of figurative language. So during class time, I'm going to ask you to identify at least 2 examples of figurative language in The Rose That Grew from Concrete. Please use this video to review what all examples of figurative language, not all, but most of the examples that we've already been talking about. And you may use these to help you identify at least 2 examples of figurative language in your poem that you'll be looking at today, the Rosary from Concrete. This is our last week for reviewing and discussing the Rosary from Concrete, so please utilize this video to help you identify 2 examples of figurative language. I look forward to seeing you soon.